You will go live in 5 minutes. Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to the 2023 Annual Stockholders Meeting of Ayala Corporation. We will begin with the Philippine National Anthem. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chairman of Ayala Corporation's Board of Directors, Mr. Jaime Augusto Zobel de Ayala.
Good morning. The meeting will please come to order. A warm welcome to all our stockholders for coming here to the 2023 Annual Stockholders Meeting of Ayala Corporation. As with each year, it is our pleasure to have this opportunity to engage with all of you. Pursuant to our bylaws and after giving our stockholders the opportunity to propose a physical meeting, we are conducting this meeting in a fully virtual format. Advancements in technology have made virtual meetings a new normal. Balancing good governance practices and keeping up to date with technological advancements, we're trying to exert our utmost effort to ensure the convenient and full participation by our stockholders in this virtual annual meeting, particularly ensuring and safeguarding our stockholders' right to vote and, of course, to be informed. Our stockholders may exercise their right to vote through proxy forms submitted by April 18, 2023, or through online voting via Ayala's electronic voting platform, the VASH system, until the end of the meeting. Questions, of course, are encouraged and may be sent to corporate secretary at ayala.com.ph. Joining me in this meeting as presenters are Cesar P. Consing, our President and CEO, Alberto M. de la Razabal, our CFO, Solomon M. Hermosura, our Corporate Secretary, Jose Martin C. Lopez, our Head of Investor Relations, and our independent directors, namely Rizalina G. Mantaring, Lead Independent Director and the Chairman of the Audit Committee of our Board, and Chua Sok Kung, the Chairman of the Corporate Governance and Nomination Committee. Also joining me today are our other independent director, Cesar V. Purisima, and our other directors, Delphine L. Lazaro and Mercedita S. Noyedo, our special advisor to the board, Fernando Zobel de Ayala, our group management committee members, Rene Almendras, President of AC Infrastructure and AC Logistics, Fred Ayala, President and Chief Operating Officer, Paolo Borromeo, President of AC Health, Ernest Koo, President of Globe Telecom, Bobby D., President of Ayala Land, Eric Francia, President of ASEN Corporation, T.G. Lim Cauco, President of BPI, Ruel Maranan, President of Ayala Foundation, Paco Milan, our Chief Human Resource Officer, Art Tan, President of AC Industrials and CEO of IMI, and of course our partners and good friends, our representatives from Mitsubishi Corporation, Mr. Matsunaga and Mr. Ishikawa. And our other officers and the representatives of CICIP Gores Velayan Company, our external auditor. Before we proceed, let us establish that this meeting is duly convened. Mr. Secretary, have the stockholders been duly notified of this meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. On March 27, 2023, we distributed to our stockholders the notice of the annual stockholders meeting and the definitive information statement by posting on our corporation's website and by disclosure to the Philippine Stock Exchange. Notice was also sent by email on April 4, 2023 to all stockholders of record as of March 14, 2023, with email addresses on file. In addition, the notice was published on print and online on April 4, 2023 and April 5, 2023 in the Manila Bulletin and the Philippine Daily Inquirer. Accordingly, our stockholders have been duly notified of this meeting in accordance with our bylaws and the applicable rules of the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Do we have a quorum at this meeting, Mr. Secretary?
We have a quorum for this meeting, Mr. Chairman. Present in this meeting are stockholders owning at least 683,510,495 shares, representing 78.64% of the 869,148,362 total outstanding shares. They are present through their appointment of the chair as proxy or by participating by remote communication or in the live webcast of this meeting or by voting in absentia. The breakdown of the stockholders present in terms of mode of attendance will be reflected in the minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We value our engagement with our stockholders, and active participation is encouraged in this meeting through the various means to be discussed by our Corporate Secretary, Mr. Hermosura. If we could ask him to share the rules of conduct and procedures for this meeting.
Mr. Chairman, the rules of conduct and procedures are set forth in the definitive information statement and in the explanation of agenda items that we have provided the shareholders as part of the notice of this meeting. Please allow me to highlight 5 points. First, our stockholders present through our live webcast may send their questions or comments to corporatesecretary@ayala.com.ph. Second, Mr. Jose Martin C. Lopez, our Head of Investor Relations, will read the questions or comments received before 9:30 a.m. today during the Q&A period, which will take place after other matters under item 9 of the agenda. Management will reply to questions and comments not taken up during the meeting by email. Third, as indicated in the ballot, there are 6 resolutions proposed for adoption by the stockholders in this meeting. Each proposed resolution will be shown on the screen as the same is taken up. Fourth, stockholders could cast their votes on the proposed resolutions and in the election of directors beginning March 31, 2023 until the end of this meeting through our VIA system. Fifth, and finally, we have tabulated the votes cast as of April 21, 2023, after the end of the proxy validation process. Those votes are from stockholders owning 651,403,893 voting shares, representing 95.30% of the total voting shares represented in this meeting and 79.52% of the total outstanding voting shares. I will be referring to the results of this preliminary tabulation when I report the voting results throughout this meeting. The results of the final tabulation with full details of the affirmative and negative votes and abstentions will be reflected in the minutes of this meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The next order of business is the approval of the minutes of the annual stockholders meeting held on April 29, 2022. An electronic copy is available on the website of the corporation. I'll now ask our secretary to present the proposed resolution and the voting results on this item.
Mr. Chairman, management is proposing the adoption of resolution number S-01-2023 for the approval of the minutes of the annual meeting on April 29, 2022. The resolution is on the screen. Stockholders owning 649,884,948 shares, or 95.08% of the total voting shares represented in this meeting, have voted in favor of the resolution. Therefore, resolution number S-01-2023 has been approved.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The next item in the agenda is the annual report, which consists of the message from the chairman, the report of our president, and an audio-visual presentation. At this point, please allow me to deliver my pre-recorded message. Thank you. Fellow shareholders, we closed 2022 with a renewed hope that the worst of the COVID-19 pandemic has passed and that we are now recovering after more than 2 years of severe economic and social dislocations. Several signs already point to people living with the virus, demonstrating the tremendous resilience of humanity. 2022 saw improved mobility, decreasing unemployment, and pent-up demand, producing a 2.9% global GDP growth rate. The Philippines grew by 7.6% in 2022, exceeding several estimates. The country returned to pre-pandemic productivity levels in the third quarter. However, the conflict in Europe has raised oil and energy prices, disrupted global supply chains, and fueled inflation. The latter has caused the world's central banks to raise interest rates at pace, which in turn has caused some market volatility. Despite this volatility, I remain hopeful. We have an excellent opportunity to revisit our business paradigms. I firmly believe that we can and must rebuild. We must make things much better and much stronger for everyone's benefit. Today, allow me to share my thoughts on the year that was, on how this health and economic crisis appears to be waning, on how there is greater demand for more resilient and sustainable systems, and on how Ayala is helping lead a more inclusive economic recovery. First, we have seen that alongside the country's full reopening, our businesses have started to meaningfully recover and take advantage of expansion opportunities. Economic vitality has returned, which we hope will fuel growth. A key beneficiary is Ayala Land, with increasing commercial and office foot traffic propping up its performance. Residential demand was robust despite higher interest rates, allowing ALI to launch 30 projects. We entered 2023 with renewed optimism, with Ayala Land rolling out development projects, refreshed mall experiences, and much-needed warehousing and cold chain facilities. Given the increasing importance of e-commerce and more resilient logistics systems, AC Logistics is progressing on its goal of being integral to all parts of the supply chain. Our acquisition of the Air 21 Group allows us to be a full end-to-end logistics provider, including international freight forwarding, warehousing, inland transportation, and waste management. We're also encouraged that the core manufacturing and four-vehicle distribution and retail operations of AC Industrials have returned to profitability. We think that electric vehicles represent considerable potential. We're excited to participate in the emerging electric mobility ecosystem. Secondly, digital technologies have substantially transformed consumer expectations and behavior. Organizations must embrace a philosophy of tech-enabled customer obsession to be relevant. Our business units, having been on extensive digitalization journeys, are reaping the rewards. Globe and BPI are excellent examples. Globe built new and upgraded cell sites nationwide and installed critical 5G infrastructure. This enabled Globe to provide a wide array of digital products and look more like a digital technology company. Globe is exploring new spaces through 917 Ventures and Kickstart Ventures. We're hopeful that we will find the next digital game changer through these entities. Meanwhile, as much as 89% of BPI's transactions are already being done through digital channels. Customer obsession is now a core pillar of BPI's values. Work continues to reformat our branches and launch new online platforms to serve a broad range of specific customer needs. Furthermore, our merger with Robinsons Bank will provide us with a much larger client base
and help us capture synergies across our platforms and products. BPI and Globe have also made gains in financial inclusivity. BPI's digital client base has grown more than 5 times since 2019. Just last year, BPI Online directly acquired about 150,000 new to bank clients, and through its ongoing partnership with GCash, around 500,000 more customers. Meanwhile, GCash now serves a user base of 76 million, 5 times higher than the next largest e-wallet. The GCash lending platform now has also 2 million unique borrowers and has disbursed 57 billion pesos in loans. We're delighted that GCash has become ubiquitous in the lives of Filipinos, and we remain bullish at the prospects of this platform, not just as a financial tool, but as a lifestyle enabler. Thirdly, there are now public expectations for enterprises to be more active contributors to society. Here in the Philippines, we saw how a broad coalition of private enterprises, civil society, and government were instrumental in the effective handling of COVID. Our COVID experience solidifies my belief that enterprises can and should play a bigger role in building a stronger country. Thus, we're accelerating our efforts to help create a modern Philippine economy, one that is underpinned by a strong commitment to sustainability and stakeholder well-being. For instance, in some Ayala malls and offices, as much as 90% of the gross leasable areas employ renewable energy. AC Industrials in Ayala Land continue to enable an electric mobility future through the rollout of EV charging infrastructure. Ayala Corporation, Globe, and AC Industrials have also pooled resources to bring to the Philippines Gogoro and its innovative swappable batteries and electric bikes. Speaking of energy, ASEAN has taken bold steps to have a fully renewable energy portfolio by 2025 and to have 20 gigawatts of renewable capacity by 2030. Last year, ASEAN completed the world's first energy transition mechanism transaction, which provides a blueprint that other coal-fired producers can adopt to responsibly transition their facilities towards cleaner alternatives. A modern, sustainable, and progressive nation requires a healthy population. Thus, AC Health continues to develop an ecosystem of physical and digital healthcare offerings. Further, Globe and AC Health have combined their digital health assets under the new Consulta MD platform. We're also on track to open the Healthway Cancer Care Center in 2023 with the objective of providing quality, affordable care to cancer patients. Before I close, allow me to provide an update on our sustainability initiatives. We continue to be active members of prominent international sustainability organizations, such as the World Business Council for Sustainable Development and the Council for Inclusive Capitalism. We likewise reaffirm our support for the 10 principles of the United Nations Global Compact, with a focus on the areas of human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption. We also continue to support the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures and remain committed to being a nature-positive company. Our business strategies and financial reporting remain aligned to the highest standards set by the TCFD. As for our commitment, announced in 2021 to achieve net zero greenhouse gases by 2050, our core business units have made significant progress on their net zero roadmaps across scopes 1, 2, and 3. In partnership with our advisor, South Pole, we hope to have consolidated net zero roadmap ready for the end of 2023. We continue to explore nature-based solutions. With Ayala's broad portfolio, I think there may be an opportunity for us to make a big impact in this rapidly evolving space. We have an ongoing project in Mindoro, which will produce high-quality carbon credits. Our teams are working with different community stakeholders to develop a project structure that will pass third-party validation. Most of our ongoing initiatives revolve around the environment pillar of ESG, given that environmental standards are quite developed. Nonetheless, we strongly recognize the immense importance of the social pillar, the S in ESG. We're preparing a framework for social centered around the themes of expanding access to products and services and providing meaningful and dignified work to a broad base of Filipinos. To close, we enter 2023 with the belief that we can regain the momentum that was lost due to the pandemic. I remain hopeful and excited at the many possibilities available to Ayala, and I'm greatly encouraged at the continued strength of our companies, the sustained partnership of our stakeholders, and our unwavering commitment for equitable progress and the greater good. We're likewise excited to have Bong Consing as our Chief Executive Officer. Bong knows the group well, starting as a banker to the group in the 80s, then as President and CEO of BPI from 2013 to 2021, where he was a key driver of the bank's digitalization and transformation program. As a member of the Group Management Committee over the same period as well, and as a director of BPI, Globe, and Ayala Corporation. Bong has the skill set that is necessary to lead a large, complex, and diverse group like ours. We are confident that his leadership will pave the way towards continued relevance and growth in the foreseeable future. I thank our board of directors also for their guidance through what has been a very challenging period. I thank our many management teams and employees who continue to be integral to Ayala's relevance and longevity. And I thank all of you, our customers, host communities, business partners, and shareholders for continuing to place your faith in Ayala. Our group's strength would not be possible without all of you. With your support, we will help build the Philippines of the future. Thank you.
Thank you. I now turn you over to our President and Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Cesar P. Consing.
Good morning, fellow shareholders. Please allow me to present my report, which has also been pre-recorded. Fellow shareholders, 2022 presented Ayala Corporation with the opportunity to assert itself as the best proxy for Philippine growth. Our full-year results demonstrate the strength and diversification of our portfolio as our four key business units, BPI, Ayala Land, Globe, and ASEN, took advantage of the reopening of the economy. Collectively, they helped drive an 18% increase in our core net income. Our cyclical business units, BPI and Ayala Land, did very well. BPI's earnings were up 66% as a result of better than industry loan growth, widening net interest margins with higher policy rates, and lower provisions with improving asset quality. The bank's digitalization initiatives continue to pay off as client acquisition, engagement, and transaction count are up, even while branch count is down. Over a quarter of the bank's clients are now digital clients. The average cost-to-income ratio of a digital client is about half that of a non-digital client. A digital client also generates more than twice the revenues versus a non-digital client across products like deposits, credit cards, loans, investments, and insurance. Ayala Land saw healthy recoveries across its business segments as it took advantage of increased mobility and spending to book a 51% increase in earnings. Revenues from malls and leisure segments doubled. Residential was resilient despite higher mortgage rates. Office occupancy rates were at par with the industry as BPO take-up kept leasing revenues stable. Ayala Land will continue to capitalize on its land bank of over 12,000 hectares by adding to the number of its integrated estates. It also has the largest REIT in the country and is prepared to inject more assets into the REIT on a regular basis. Globe and ASEN, our two other core businesses, had challenging years, but are in positions to reap the benefits in years to come of initiatives taken in the past few years. Globe saw a 10% drop in core earnings, partly a result of increased depreciation expenses. CapEx of 101 billion pesos was an all-time high as the company bolstered its infrastructure to support growing data demand and 5G coverage. Growth in fiber revenues was strong. Outside the core telco business, revenue contribution from digital services continued to rise on the back of Globe's digital transformation. GCash user count grew to 76 million with the increase in use cases, including financing and investing. Globe used a portion of the 108 billion pesos in proceeds from its stock rights offering and the sale of a number of its tower assets to delever its balance sheet. ASEN's net earnings were down 15%, with many of its plants still under construction. ASEN was a net buyer in a period of very tight supply. Confident in its ability to build out, ACEN is now targeting 20 gigawatts in attributable renewable capacity by 2030, a five-fold increase from current levels. Complementing this objective was ACEN's full divestment of the coal-fired SL Tech via the world's first energy transition mechanism. Coal no longer features in ACEN's energy mix. IMI, our global semiconductor business, showed earnings recovery as the global economy reopened. However, IMI's bolt-on acquisitions remain challenged. AC Motors' four-wheel business registered growth in profits, but its two-wheel business experienced losses because of supply chain and demand issues. In AC Ventures, we pared down our passive investments and booked substantial provisions for our investment in Yoma, which is among Myanmar's leading business groups. We believe Yoma has done well to position its key assets, banking, real estate, and digital payments, for growth once the country's overall situation improves. We have made significant strides in our newer businesses. In AC Health, the recovery of its clinics, hospitals, and pharma businesses allowed the company to book earnings. The consolidation of our digital health assets into the Consulta MD Super App will support the company's continued growth. By the third quarter of this year, the company will open the first dedicated comprehensive cancer hospital in the Philippines. We aspire to offer the best value private cancer hospital in the country. AC Health will continue to build on its integrated healthcare ecosystem to provide Filipinos with quality, affordable, and accessible healthcare. AC Logistics' acquisition of 60% of the AHI Group will allow us to provide an end-to-end product set to a wider customer base. The company now lists among its growing customer base FMCG companies, manufacturing companies, and almost all the companies in the Ayala Group. We believe the efforts of AC Logistics to scale and integrate will pay off in due course. iPeople, our education joint venture with the Yuchenko Group, saw earnings grow as enrollments climbed. Mapua, the group's flagship school, was ranked 4th in the Philippines and among the top 6% in the world by Times Higher Education. Mapua entered into an arrangement with Sintana that would provide Mapua students the opportunity to take cost-effective online courses offered by Arizona State University, which is ranked the most innovative school in the United States. With earnings at 90% of pre-COVID levels, we are on track towards full recovery. We will continue to invest significantly as a group to take advantage of the country's growth. In 2022, group capital expenditures reached an all-time high of 280 billion pesos. For 2023, the Ayala Group is allocating 264 billion pesos in capital expenditures, driven by sustained investments in its core business units, Ayala Land, Globe, and ACEN. We want to strengthen and maintain the leadership positions of our listed entities in their sectors. At the parent, we are allocating 19 billion pesos in capital expenditures. Approximately half will be spent on our emerging businesses, AC Health and AC Logistics, as these companies continue to scale up. The balance will be for opportunistic investments and our other businesses. Our balance sheet remains strong, with an average debt cost of only 4.5% and an average duration of 18.5 years. And we continue to realize value from the sale of non-core assets and are now 60% of the 50 billion peso target we set 3 years ago. Our digitalization initiatives across the group, probably most noticeable in BPI, Globe, and its fintech arm GCash, have raised customer satisfaction scores considerably. These digitalization initiatives, coupled with the use of data science, are also helping build the Ayala of the future. EV is one project that takes advantage of our group's unique ecosystem. Ayala Land and IMI are working together to put up EV charging stations, Ayala and Globe have teamed up to introduce into the country Gorgoro, two-wheel EVs using battery swapping technology, and AC Motors has introduced the Kia EV6. We continue to champion sustainability through ESG impact management and creating shared value. ESG impact management involves us mitigating environmental and social issues and being more transparent in the way we do things. Creating shared value, on the other hand, involves us developing innovative ideas and scaling them through business models that create value for society. We want to produce and distribute socially responsible products and meet the needs of as many Filipinos as possible. We also strive to have an inclusive work environment and be an employer of choice. We remain guarded but constructive in our outlook for 2023. We think that elevated inflation and high interest rates will affect all our companies in terms of higher borrowing costs and higher operating costs, and dampening demand. That being said, we still expect a reasonable level of GDP growth. With this backdrop, we will keep our objectives straightforward. First, Ayala Corporation and our key business units will work on getting core net income back to pre-COVID levels. Second, with improved earnings, we will seek higher dividends from the core business units. Third, we will rationalize the portfolio so that each of the non-core business units has the potential to be the group's next engine of growth, in the same way that Globe was at the turn of the century and ASEAN has been in the last several years. Fourth, we will continue to value realize towards our 50 billion peso goal. Fifth, we will maintain a fortress balance sheet with strong liquidity and leverage at a reasonable level to be able to take advantage of attractive investment opportunities that arise. And sixth, we will complete the net zero roadmaps of our various business units and ingrain ESG into all our activities so that we help build the Philippines of the future. Let me close by thanking our board of directors for their wise counsel, our management and employees for their dedication and professionalism, and you, our shareholders, for your continued support.
Thank you for that. The Ayala Group thrives in synergy. As a holding company, we serve as a catalyst for synergies across the group. We help our businesses connect and identify opportunities to work together. By championing synergy, we come up with meaningful initiatives that have far-reaching impacts on our stakeholders. Hence, for this year's annual stockholders meeting, we wish to give the spotlight to some of the key synergies across the Ayala Group. We invite you, fellow shareholders, to watch this video.
Mic check, mic check, mic check.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Life is full of lines. Some are clearly visible, some are not. Some of the most important lines are the ones we cannot see. And those lines are basically the lines that connect people, that connect organizations.
Kapag mag-isa ka, you're only limited to what you know.
When you work together, you achieve more.
It's gonna be impossible to do alone.
Everybody should contribute to that single purpose or that single goal.
This is what binds us. This weaves everything together.
When you make the right connections, then you're able to properly plan for the future. People will have to start looking beyond their personal agendas and making sure that there is a future, not just for ourselves and our family, but for everybody else.
When you find the right partner, everything becomes easier.
It is not a place for a single superstar, it's a place for an orchestra.
Different perspectives, different point of view.
Through those perspectives, you come up with an even better solution.
Everybody needs to believe in the goal. And everybody supports each other in the achievement of that goal.
If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Kahit iba-iba tayong pinagdadaanan, iba-iba tayong pinatutunguhan, we're all part of a community. Lahat tayo konektado eh.
The real power of working together with others is in 1 + 1 = 3.
We're stronger when we work together. We make connections, creating partnerships one at a time, each connecting to many, and all connecting to one. If we do this well, there is no limit to what we can do.
My name's Bobby.
Ana Maria Gonzalez.
Paolo.
Rica Mirador.
Ruel. Rene.
Carla Buencamino.
Richie Santos.
Joanna Sarmiento.
Mark Morales.
Ernest.
Luli Paglinawan. Ana Maria Sison.
Arthur Tan.
Thank you very much, Bong, for your report. May I now ask the Secretary to present the proposed resolution on this item and the voting results?
Mr. Chairman, management is proposing the adoption of resolution number S-02-2023 for the noting of the corporation's annual report and the approval of the consolidated audited financial statements of the corporation and its subsidiaries as of December 31, 2022, as audited by CCIP Gorres Velayo and Company, our external auditor. The resolution is shown on the screen. Stockholders owning 649,428,687 shares or 95.01% of the voting shares represented in this meeting have voted for the adoption of the resolution. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, resolution number S-02-2023 has been approved.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. We now move on to the next item in the agenda, the ratification and approval of all the acts of our Board of Directors and Officers since our annual stockholders meeting on April 29, 2022 until today. Mr. Mosura will explain this matter and present the proposed resolution together with the voting results thereon.
Mr. Chairman, our board and management seek ratification of all the acts and resolutions of the board, the executive committee, and other board committees exercising powers delegated by the board. These acts and resolutions were adopted from April 29, 2022 until today and are reflected in the minutes of the meetings. They include the approval of the purchase of ASEN shares and property dividend declaration, the participation in Globe Telecom Inc.'s stock rights offering, the senior leadership assessment and talent mapping, the tender offer and redemption exercise of up to $300 million fixed for life bonds by its foreign subsidiary AYC Finance Limited, the engagement of external facilitator for the board assessment exercise, the sustainability-linked financing of up to $100 million or Philippine peso equivalent, the amendments to the Board Charter, Corporate Governance Manual, Data Privacy Manual, Related Party Transactions Policy and Audit Committee, and Sustainability Committee charters, the capital allocation and disbursement of funds to subsidiaries, treasury-related matters, declaration of cash dividends, and matters covered by disclosures to the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Philippine Stock Exchange. Stockholders' ratification is also sought for all the acts of our officers from April 29, 2022 to date, performed in the general conduct of our business or in accordance with the resolutions of our board, the executive committee, and other board committees, and of our bylaws. Mr. Chairman, we are showing on the screen resolution number S-03-2023. Stockholders owning 648,841,169 shares, or 79.21% of the total outstanding voting shares, and 94.93% of the voting shares represented in this meeting have voted for the adoption of resolution number S-03-2023. Therefore, the resolution has been adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The next item in the agenda is the reissuance of the corporation's preferred A shares and the delegation of authority on future offers, issuance or reissuance, and listing of preferred shares. Mr. Mosura will explain this item and present the proposed resolution together with the voting results thereon.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, on March 9, 2023, our Board of Directors approved and authorized the reissuance of the corporation's Philippine Peso Preferred A shares with a base amount from 10 billion to 15 billion pesos with an oversubscription option for up to 10 billion pesos, and the filing for registration with the Securities and Exchange Commission and application for listing with the Philippine Stock Exchange. We now seek shareholders' approval of the reissuance of the corporation's preferred shares. Stockholders' approval is also sought for the delegation of authority to the Board of Directors of the corporation to approve any offering, issuance, or reissuance in case of redeemed preferred shares, and listing of any class or series, or of all or any part of any of the corporation's preferred shares under such terms and conditions as may be decided by the board, and the delegation of authority to the corporation's management to implement the foregoing transaction. The approvals are being sought through resolution number S-04-2023, which we are showing on the screen and which we also set forth in the ballot. I am pleased to report, Mr. Chairman, that stockholders owning 647,507,209 shares, or 74.50% of the total outstanding shares, and 94.73% of the voting shares represented in this meeting have voted for the adoption of resolution number S-04-2023. Therefore, the resolution has been adopted, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The next order of business is the election of 7 members of the Board of Directors for the ensuing year. Ms. Chua Sok Kung, Chairperson of the Corporate Governance and Nomination Committee, will please explain this item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A well-balanced and diverse board with the right combination of expertise, experience, and independent perspective, and that addresses the need of the corporation, ensures that the board's optimum performance of its function, and ultimately the creation and maximization of long-term stockholder value. This assures the corporation's adaptability, resilience, and impact in an ever-evolving business environment. Guided by the foregoing, Mr. Chairman, and in accordance with our bylaws, revised corporate governance manual and charter of the Board of Directors, the Corporate Governance and Nomination Committee of the Board has determined that the following 7 duly nominated stockholders, including the nominees for independent directors, can provide the guidance and independent judgment necessary for the formulation of sound corporate strategies and policies for the corporation and are qualified to serve as directors of the corporation for the ensuing term. So the names are Jaime Augusto Zobel de Ayala, Cesar P. Consen, Delphine L. Lazaro, Mercedita S. Nolito, Iselina G. Mantaring, Cesar V. Perusima, and of course myself, Chua Sok Kun. Ms. Mantaring, Mr. Perusima, and myself have been nominated as independent directors. All the nominees have given their consent to their respective nominations. Chairman.
Thank you very much, SK. Mr. Secretary, may we have the results of this election?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Each of the 7 nominees for directors has garnered at least 605,585,519 votes. Given this, I certify, Mr. Chairman, that each of the nominees has received enough votes for election to the board and that resolution number S-05-2023 has been approved. We are showing resolution number S-05-2023 on the screen.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the election of the corporation's external auditor. For this, if I could request Mrs. Risalina G. Mantaring, Chairman of the Audit Committee, to please present.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is the responsibility of the Audit Committee to recommend the appointment and remuneration of the corporation's external auditor. In the due performance of this responsibility, the committee oversees the work of the external auditor and assesses its independence and the integrity of the audit process. This assessment is critical in light of the external auditor's role of conducting an independent audit of the corporation and providing an objective assurance on its financial statements. Mr. Chairman, in the discharge of this responsibility and oversight function, the Audit Committee evaluated the performance of our present external auditor, the firm of Sisip, Gores, Velayo & Company, during the past year and was satisfied with their performance. The committee and the board of directors have thus agreed to endorse for our stockholders' approval the election of Sisip, Gores, Velayo & Company as our external auditor for 2023 for an audit fee of 12,096,000 pesos, inclusive of value-added tax. The significant increase versus last year's audit fee is primarily attributable to the additional audit procedures to be performed by SGV for the audit of the consolidated financial statement of the company arising from the change of Ayala Land Incorporated's external auditor.
Thank you very much, Risa. Mr. Secretary, kindly present the proposed resolution on this item and the voting results, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Management is proposing the adoption of resolution number S-06-2023 for the election of the corporation's external auditor and the fixing of its remuneration. The resolution is on the screen. I am pleased to report, Mr. Chairman, that the stockholders owning 647,017,878 shares, or 94.66% of the total voting shares represented in this meeting, voted in favor of resolution number S-06-2023. Therefore, the resolution is now approved.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Secretary, are there other matters that require consideration by the stockholders?
There is none, Mr. Chairman. We notified our stockholders that they may submit proposals for agenda items, but we received no proposed agenda items, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We will now address questions and comments from the stockholders. Our head of investor relations, Mr. Lopez, will read aloud the questions and comments together with the name of the stockholders who sent them. As mentioned earlier by Mr. Mosura, management will reply by email to questions and comments not taken up during this meeting. Thank you. Mr. Lopez.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. We received the following questions from shareholders, which were sent to the corporate secretary at ayala.com.ph email account before 9:30 this morning. The first question is from Mr. James Irwin Villarin. Can you give your thoughts on how the situation of the financial markets in the US and Europe can affect us in the Philippines? How prepared are we to handle external shocks that may arise from these?
Thank you for that question, Mr. Villarin. We remain guarded in our outlook for 2023, as slower growth is expected for the Philippines this year due to elevated inflation and interest rates. Though declining, high inflation may persist and will result in high interest rates, likewise for an extended period. The corporate's appetite for spending may remain dampened due to this. Though the strength of the US dollar may diminish if the Fed cuts interest rates sooner, the peso may only move sideways as our substantial current account deficit limits potential appreciation. Certain indicators also point towards this outlook, such as slower imports and loan growth, which slowed to 10% as of February. However, having said all this, economic prospects still point to some level of growth. Remittances continue to grow healthily, up 3.5% in February, and unemployment is at about 4.8%, below pre-pandemic levels. Tourist arrivals continue to improve as well, reaching 67% of pre-pandemic levels last February. So looking ahead, the pivotal question is how fast inflation will decelerate to the BSP's target of between 2 and 4%. We may begin to see gradual rate cuts in this instant. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Second question is from Ms. Mary Ann de la Cruz. Ayala stock is down close to 10% year to date. Is there anything management can do to support the company's share price?
Bong, if you don't mind answering this question.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the question. Generating shareholder value is a top priority for us. So firstly, we will allocate our capital spend to support the growth of our businesses so that as a whole, our business units will have even stronger years this year than last year. I believe this will bring our core net income at the AC level back to pre-COVID levels. And better earnings will allow for more dividends to be paid to Ayala Corp and for Ayala Corp to pay more dividends to our shareholders. Secondly, we will continue to take the strategic and tactical steps that will allow for growth and improve earnings to be reflected in the share prices of Ayala Corp and our publicly listed business units. Thirdly, as we believe Ayala Corp is undervalued in this market, we stand ready to use a portion of our capital to buy back from the market a number of Ayala Corp shares. As you know, we have done Ayala Corp share buybacks in the past.
The third question comes from Ms. Sylvie Maghirang. Can you talk more about your digital strategy and how do you intend to forge more synergies across the group?
Thank you, Ms. Maghirang. Our digital initiatives are developed within our business units and have direct touch points with our customers. This grassroots development enables us to identify the needs of our stakeholders and create products that are most relevant to them. As examples, and these were discussed by Mr. Consing earlier, BPI and GCash are working together to increase financial inclusivity by harnessing their digital capabilities. GCash also has BPI savings and investment products which allow users to open an interest-yielding savings account and make micro-investments for as little as 50 pesos. Mr. Consing also mentioned the new Consulta MD Super App was launched in March 2023 with a combined user base of over 2.5 million. It is a one-stop shop that provides medical services including on-demand teleconsultations, doctor home visits, nursing care, 24/7 medicine deliveries and diagnostics via home service or in-clinic bookings, among others. Our group harnesses diversity and collective capabilities through regular dialogues between our businesses and teams. We support the projects developed from these forums by deploying capital through our corporate venture capital arm, Kickstart Ventures, and our corporate venture builder, 917 Ventures. I hope this is helpful and addresses your question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The fourth question comes from Ms. Elma Ginto. Can you please share more details on Ayala's initiatives on electric vehicles? What is Ayala's plan on this?
Bong, if you wouldn't mind addressing this question.
Elma, Ayala wants to accelerate EV adoption in the Philippines. For EVs to gain traction, we need a supportive ecosystem. And so at IMI, we are building manufacturing capabilities across the EV value chain. And at Ayala Land, we are rolling out EV charging stations in our malls and estates. We will continue to expand our EV portfolio. I mentioned earlier a partnership with Gogoro, a Taiwanese manufacturer of two-wheel EVs that utilizes battery swapping technology. An initial batch of 100 smart scooters, 400 batteries, and 7 battery swapping stations are already here. If you look at four-wheelers, we are exploring with OEM partners what other models we can introduce into the Philippines, following the launch of what I believe will be a very popular Kia EV6 just a few weeks ago.
Thank you, sir. That was the last question received prior to the cutoff time, Mr. Chairman. We will respond by email to any questions and comments not taken up this morning. May I also mention, Mr. Chairman, that the link to the audio and video recording of this meeting will be posted on our website. Stockholders may raise any issue, clarification, and concern about this meeting within 2 weeks from the posting of the link by sending an email to corporatesecretary@ayala.com.ph. I am also pleased to announce that stockholders who registered their attendance in this meeting will receive a Healthway Care Card as a token of our appreciation. We will email the stockholders on the steps to claim the Care Card. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. That concludes this morning's proceedings, and so the meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you to all of you for joining us here today. We believe that the future looks bright and hopeful with Ayala's steady recovery from the pandemic. Armed with invaluable lessons and many things that we've come to realize, we rise stronger and remain committed to providing long-term value to all our stockholders, other stakeholders, business partners, by reinventing businesses and transforming communities to enable a better future for all of us. I end with the promise that we at Ayala will continue to do business for the greater good. Please continue to take care, keep safe, and again, thank you to all of you for joining us here today.